everybody. I hope you're having a good day. Hope the weather's cooperating where you are and you're managing to deal with it. There's not much you can do about it, so you do have to deal with it. But anyway, this is another day the Lord has made. We need to rejoice and be glad in it, and also realize the Lord has given us one more opportunity to do something good for Him. So keep that on your mind as we go through our lesson today, and see what you can do to help others in spiritual ways. Just helping others by being nice to them is one thing, but helping them realize the condition of their soul is the greatest thing you can do for them. Okay, we're going to talk about a subject. It's called preparing to die. Yeah, that's a morbid subject and one that most people just want to ignore. But it's not a pleasant subject by any means. And some of us do realize that we are closer to this event than others might be. But we still have to keep in mind that God can end it all at any moment for anyone and everyone. It happens all the time. Tragedies happen, disasters happen, accidents happen. So all these things that take place, and of course, people getting sick from various diseases and sicknesses. And so, yeah. There's a lot of people die every day. Look up the statistics, if you will. How many people die every day? Just ask Google that, and it'll tell you. All right. About 150 years ago, a man wrote, "Let us then talk about preparing to die. It is the greatest thing we have to do, and we might have little time to do it, so let us talk and think something about it." Charles Spurgeon wrote that. He was a Baptist preacher, but he was, in many cases, he was very right in what he said. He was very in tune with what the scriptures taught. And so Mr. Spurgeon is right. See, the greatest thing we have to do in this life is to prepare to die. For that is precisely what we all are going to do. Hebrews 9:27, for it is appointed for man once to die, and after this the judgment. See, that is one appointment nobody is going to miss. It's all going to happen. Now, if the Lord comes back, we'll all be changed, but we're going to shed this earthly body, and so that's what death is, just separation of body and spirit. And so, yeah, it's going to happen. But we also need to look at it this way. Preparing to die is preparing to live. And so the best thing we can do in this preparation is to seek God and make sure He is pleased with us. And we can do this by learning what is pleasing to the Lord and doing those things. And luckily, this does not have to be a guessing game, for God has already told us what is pleasing to Him. And so He revealed to us in His Holy Scriptures exactly what pleases Him. So if we study the Scriptures and apply what we learn in our everyday living, we will do those things that please Him. See, our greatest benefit of preparing to die is in the fact that our living takes on a new meaning. The life that we now live takes on a new meaning and gives us purpose for living. Where before we became a Christian, the only purpose in living was survival. But now with Christ, our purpose in living takes on a new meaning. And sadly, many people cannot see any farther than the grave. And they think that's the end, so that they're going to live their life to their fullest, that they think they can live it to whatever they can, and then it's going to be over for them. But see, they do not realize there is a judgment coming. Most people don't, and a lot of them don't even realize there's a God that's going to judge them. So that's why we need to get busy and start teaching people. See, there is an afterlife that is one of two destinies. And the Bible speaks of those two destinies throughout. In the Old Testament, it's basically judgment is coming based on what a person does. But in the New Testament, God reveals to us there's an eternal destiny for everybody. And of course, He speaks of those. If you get a chance, read Romans 2:5-11. Talks about those two destinies. And the destinies are dependent upon the choices we make, dependent upon how we live our lives and how we treat others. Matthew 25, 31-46 is another example here of the destinies that are possible and the reasons for receiving those destinies. So, preparing to live not only covers the fulfilled life we can experience in our daily routine, but it also covers the fact that if we live a life pleasing to God, He will give us eternal life. See, this eternal life will be one of joy, peace, happiness, comfort. I mean, we get a little bit of a description there in Revelation 21, and it's just going to be, just sounds so marvelous. And it will be a wonderful place. But whatever we can imagine from a human standpoint, it's going to be better than that. That's what the Bible promises. Whatever we can imagine. I mean, you can think in the style of Hollywood, Steven Spielberg, Cecil B. DeMille. I mean, how grand and great they would picture entering into heaven. But it's going to be a whole lot better than that. And so, just thinking about heaven should motivate us to greater service towards God. And of course, we have the passage in Colossians 3:2, set your mind on things above, not on the things of this earth. We still have to take care of matters here on earth while we're here. We don't want to be a burden on others, and so we still have to take care of matters here. But if our mind is focused on getting to heaven when we die, then our life, like I said, takes a whole new meaning. See, there are several times in the New Testament where we are required to die and then we can live. This is one of those, what they call a paradox. Two opposite statements, but yet to accomplish something that is positive. See, Colossians 3:4 reads, for you have died and your life is hidden with Christ in God. And then in verse 5, it says that we should consider the earthly members of sinful flesh to be dead. And then in verse 10 of Colossians 3, it says that we are to put on the new self. And so we realize that. See, our baptism is symbolic not only of the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, but it in a sense, it is us acknowledging the fact that our life of sin and death needs to be put away. And so we put that to death and bury it through our baptism, and we're raised to walk in newness of life. Romans 6:3-4. Now, Jesus said that He came to give life and life more abundantly. And we know what this means. It means a fuller life, not only for those who are living, but one that is actually who has passed on and been in the grace of God, been faithful to God. And so, yes, life more abundantly. We can enjoy life a whole lot more when we know that we're doing good things for others. Most people that live, they just live for themselves. And they really don't care about anybody else unless they can get something out of them. And so, that's what it means by giving life more abundantly. I mean, it's more fulfilling when we're able to be of service to others. It has meaning and purpose. And of course, it also challenges us to do our very best and to help others do the same. We're supposed to be here helping each other get to heaven. And so we can do that. Yes, it's one thing to go to church and help those people get to heaven, but your church is only just a very small percentage of your community. Why not try and work to help them get to heaven also? Your community will be a whole lot better for it. The more people you can get involved in doing the Lord's work, the better your community is going to be. And we know that's a fact. Most people don't see it that way, though. All right, so it leads us to a life of service towards others. Yeah, not only do we serve God, we serve our brethren. Galatians 4:16. We do serve others. And then, of course, we serve even the lost. We can provide a service for them, helping them see and realize their lost condition and changing their life to serve God. So we do need to help people see the benefit of serving God and, of course, serving others in their own lives. Now, this new life should be so encouraging and fulfilling that we spend time with each other, helping each other get to heaven. Yeah, we need to spend time with fellow Christians, and it keeps us in the proper perspective, keeps us properly motivated. So that when you're not with your fellow Christians, you're out there with your neighbors, your coworkers, your schoolmates, family, and friends. I mean, so you can help them also find a way to get to heaven. And of course, the only way to get to heaven is through Jesus Christ. We know that. So, our lives can be full and fulfilling, but only if we are prepared for the time when our bodies give up the spirit. So, in other words, we've got to be prepared to die. We know it's going to happen. Jesus knew it was going to happen. Of course, he had a purpose for it. And so our purpose should be up until that time. You know, Paul wrote in Philippians 1, to live as Christ and die as gain. He said, man, I'd just as soon go right now and be with my Lord. But as long as I live, it means fruitful labor for me. And folks, that's how we need to look at it. You know, some people are just sitting around just waiting to die. And it seems like that's all they're doing, just waiting to die. And it's really sad when you see people that they really have no motivation other than just waiting for that event to take place. And so, I mean, they're not active for the Lord. I mean, so we need to keep everybody active for the Lord and thinking about these things and sharing these messages with others. And then, so when we finally do leave our bodies behind and our soul goes up to meet God in judgment, the spiritual body will rise immortal to join Jesus and God in eternity. And we will be with them forever. I mean, that's the great thing about it. And that's only going to happen is if we live faithful lives to God. So take some time, think about dying. I know it's not a pleasant thought, but realize the end of life is actually a beginning for your destiny. The end of this human life is actually the beginning for your destiny. Now, the choices you make will determine what destiny you're going to have, either heaven or hell. So it's really your choice. It's everybody's choice. A lot of people, not even realizing they have a choice, are going through life and they're going to be separated from God. I mean, 2 Thessalonians 1, verses 7 and 8, talks about the vengeance of the Lord will come upon those who know not God and keep not his commandments. I mean, that's some antiquated language from the King James, but still, I mean, people who don't know God, I mean, they're not going to heaven. And people who do not keep God's commandments are not going to go to heaven. And when you realize it, that covers a lot of people. So think about those things and consider this lesson. Share it with others. I think it's a message that needs to be shared with everybody. And of course, that's going to be it for today. Y'all have a good and blessed day. And Lord willing, we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.